Let's bring in a Middle East analyst and senior fellow at the Philip Merrill Center for Strategic Studies at Johns Hopkins, Laura Blumenfeld. And Laura, for most of my, not only adult life, but most of my life, peace in the Middle East seemed on par with unicorns. It's something you dream about, but it's not something that would ever realistically happen. So Laura, how did a real estate developer from Queens named Donald Trump potentially do what some of the brightest foreign policy minds and some of the so-called greatest leaders in human history do that couldn't be done for years, centuries, even millennia in some instances?
It is remarkable. The feeling in the Middle East is just gratitude. People who don't even believe in God are praying and thanking God and thanking President Trump specifically. And I think that there are two things that he brought to the Middle East that other presidents couldn't. Number one is trust, and number two is money. Like you said, he's a real estate guy and he knows where to invest. First of all, trust. You know, on the Arab and the Palestinian side, he has buy-in. He has given them confidence that they can trust in him to get the Israelis to follow through on their commitments. On the Israeli side, I was texting with one of my senior intelligence sources earlier this week saying, are we going to have a deal? And he's texted back quite simply, in Trump, we trust. The second issue is wealth. These are guys, you know, he sent to the Middle East Kushner and Steve Witkoff, and these are sort of the bunker buster, heavy weapon diplomacy guys who know how to get a deal done. Yes, there are details to be hashed out. There is a 20-point plan. But when I was on the Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team, a failed team under a previous president, the joke was you could never get past the first point. So here now we have it with money, as people have estimated. The UN says it's going to be $52 billion to rebuild the Gulf. And the Gaza Strip, and the Gulf nations are going to contribute. That's only because President Trump was able to get regional buy-in. Under President Obama, under whose the presidency I served, we couldn't get the Gulf countries on board. And I think one of the reasons is commitment. President Trump was all in. When I would go to the region and speak with both Palestinians and Israelis, they would say to me, why should we make compromises? Why should we make sacrifices? We don't feel like your president is committed.
That is quite a contrast between the two administrations, and quite a pretty honest admission from you for the president that you ultimately worked under. That contrast that you just provided is stunning. As for the future of not only Gaza, but the Middle East on the whole, President Trump predicted Gaza would become a much safer place. In turn, the Middle East, with the buy-in from basically every country there, would become a much more safe and prosperous place. What does U.S. involvement in the region look like going forward?
Well, the thorny issues lie ahead. There's disarming. That's who will rule the future governance of Gaza. But the concept is, in the past, we've talked about shrinking the conflict, embrace the doable. What President Trump did here, really, it's just a marvel, is he grew the conflict. He made it bigger. As he kept saying, this is bigger than Gaza. So everybody has a room under that Abrahamic tent. For Prime Minister Netanyahu, his legacy always was going to be the Abraham Accords and, of course, Startup Nation, the economy. So it kind of gives Prime Minister Netanyahu the incentive to take some risks, to go further, to sort of sort things out in Gaza, because there are bigger opportunities with Saudi Arabia, up north with a peace deal with Syria, with Lebanon. And the same thing can be said, again, on the Arab and Islamic side. It is unprecedented to see the unity that President Trump has basically brought them all together. I mean, the war started with division. Unfortunately, Israel was very divided, but it's coming to an end, fingers crossed, inshallah, whatever God you pray to, through this great sign of unity. And there's an irony here, because President Trump has been attacked for being a unilateralist, but as he said, the whole world came together today.
And it is fascinating to watch. Laura Blumenfeld, thank you for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.